Hello, Reds, and welcome to the 100% United podcast, Pogba Special. I'm your host, TC, and here's my co-host, Scott. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Before we get started, let's just nail one thing out. This is not a Pogba special. Pogba is the last thing from special we can possibly imagine. Yeah, let's just iron out that kink right now.
Yes, it's a Pogba episode, yeah?
Yeah, let's say that.
Yes, buddy. Well, today's show is obviously dominated by the big news over the weekend, with Paul Pogba signalling his desire to leave Manchester United. We look at our options if he goes and if he stays. We also assess some much more palatable quotes from a different United player. First, Scott, we knew it was coming, but now it's out in the open. This is not a rumour. These are direct quotes. Caught on film, is Paul Pogba's second time at United going to end even more acrimoniously than the first, Scott?
Yeah, I think it obviously has to, because he's given us more this time than he did last time. Last time he was a player with a lot of potential, and now we can all see that he's a player with a lot of ability. But what's the point of all that ability if you're never going to apply it?
Absolutely, mate. It's becoming clearer and clearer, isn't it, what's been going on? Should we take a look at the quotes, the direct quotes, so we know what we're working with, yeah?
Yeah.
So here's what he's had to say. He was asked about next season. He said, like you say, there's a lot of talking and a lot of thinking as well. I've been here for 3 years in Manchester. It's been hesitation, great. Some good moments and some bad moments, like everybody, like everywhere else. After this season, after everything that happened this season, with my season, it was my best season as well. I think for me, it can be, a good time to have a new challenge somewhere else. I'm thinking of this, to have a new challenge somewhere else. Now, mate, that is very, very conclusive, isn't it, Scott?
It is, but is it any more conclusive than what Ronaldo said after we won the Champions League in 2008? When he likened being at United to being a slave, being held against his will, all of that. It's just seriously disappointing.
Let's caveat that. So that you're talking about Ronaldo in the summer of 2008, just after we won the Champions League, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
Ronaldo has scored 42 goals in the season. He's led us to the European Cup and the Premier League. So he hasn't been asking for a transfer request with his performances. He asked verbally. He said, "Look, I'm interested in something else." But on the field for United, he was playing absolutely magnificently. Now, this is the problem I've got with Paul Pogba. On the field, he's trying to communicate to us that he wants to leave through his performances. This is something I can't accept, mate.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I told you, as soon as Zidane got rehired and made a few comments,
you did.
And Pogba's head was turned, then this fantastic run of form that he had managed to have for the first few months of Ole Solskjaer's reign just completely went out the window.
It did. And you know what, mate? Let's have a look at it. He wasn't happy at United under Sir Alex Ferguson. Mm-hmm. He wasn't happy at Manchester United under Jose Mourinho. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't happy at Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Mm-hmm. So Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager in the history of British football, certainly. And in my opinion, and many other opinions, the greatest manager in the history of the game. Mm-hmm. Jose Mourinho is one of the most decorated managers in the history of football on his own. Mm-hmm. And then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a man who coached Paul Pogba in the reserves, was in the club, playing in the club when Paul Pogba was in the youth team. So we're not talking about three mugs here. Yeah. We're talking about Sir Alex Ferguson, we're talking about Junior, and we're talking about the legend that is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He hasn't been happy under all three, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's the kind of thing that when you've got problems with three different managers, maybe you've got to start looking at yourself. I just found it funny that he was saying that this was his best season when,
yeah.
It's like if he found his attitude in the last 2 or 3 months, the first 2 or 3 months and the last 2 or 3 months of the season acceptable, then we just need to wash our hands of it and be done with it, mate.
Yes, mate. In my humble opinion, the start of the season was completely destroyed by Paul Pogba and his attitude. He wanted Mourinho sacked and he got his way. Mourinho got sacked. Ole came in. He was fantastic after Ole came in. I'm not going to deny it. He was absolutely amazing, incredible, superb performances, unbelievable stats. But he ruined the end of the season for us as well, mate. He just went missing. Your star player goes missing. And he botched that for us as well. So if that's your best season, Paul Pogba, then what were you doing at Juventus? I thought you were great there.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And you know what, mate? Let's look back, because I know, we've been pals for a long time. We were chatting at the time. We were chatting when Paul Pogba was in the youth team, in the reserve team. And the truth is, mate, is the reason why Fergie opened the door and let him walk through it was because he downed tools for the reserves. I remember absolutely clearly that Paul Pogba was playing fantastically well, and he wanted to break into the first team. Now, we always take it slowly back in the day because we had nothing to worry about. We had nothing to push. and youngsters was gently released into the team. Now, Paul Pogba stopped performing for the reserves because he wasn't getting picked for the first team. And it's almost like an oxymoron.
Yeah.
You're going to not perform because you want to get picked, but then you're definitely not going to get picked. And that was the reason he left the first time. Don't let anyone tell you any different. He downed tools, and that's why he didn't get first team minutes. And then off the back of that, he said he wasn't getting enough first team minutes and he had to leave.
Yeah, and he's also a man that's led by his agent as well. Instead of being the one to lead his agent, he obviously listens to a lot of the stuff that Mino Raiola, who is a pretty abrasive character,
Yeah,
he obviously listens to a lot of that stuff. And if Raiola wants him to leave and get himself a massive payday, then more likely than not, it's going to happen.
yes, mate. And the truth is he said he's ready for a new challenge. Well, you haven't even started your last challenge,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
What about coming back to United and bringing back the glory years? Well, that's what he said when he joined, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So what you basically give up. You give up and you go and get a new challenge. That's not a new challenge. You haven't completed your last challenge, pal.
It's like a breakup of a relationship. During the breakup, the person who you're with, they show character traits that you think to yourself, how did I love this person in the first place? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Absolutely. And that's the thing with Pogba. And I will say, mate, I know we were getting excited when Pogba re-signed for United, but I did silently have a moment of doubt. I had a moment because I remember the way he left Fergie and left the club and the things he said afterwards. And I watched him at Juventus and didn't think he was very consistent. And I wondered. And then he brought out sound bites and said, look, I love United. I want to bring the glory years back to United. You know what I'm like. I'll jump on that. He's our player. I've got to support him. But, mate, realistically, he's done it one time. He's left under a cloud. And now he's leaving us in a position where we either let him go under a cloud or we keep him under a cloud. I mean, where do we go from here, mate? If we get rid of him, like we mentioned a few days ago on the pod, I mean, I said myself, if you can give me Bruno Fernandes plus 70, 80 million, I'll push the button on that right now. I haven't changed my opinion. I'm still up for that. But what do you reckon, mate? I know you're a big Pogba fan. Are you willing to write him off and rebuild our club without him?
I really don't know. It's similar to me with the Ronaldo saga of 10 years ago now, that certain players have these long-term dreams that one day they want to play for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
But it should never be on their terms. They should never get to pick and choose when we leave.
No.
And it just holds a terrible precedent for everyone else in the club.
You're right.
That once they're fed up, they can just come out and talk to a bunch of reporters and say, yeah, it's probably time for me to have a new challenge. And within a couple of weeks, they're gone. It's just awful.
No, you're right, mate. And I've seen quite a few United fans saying, he's asked to leave, so we can't make him stay. Would be small time if we made him stay. What I'd ask those United fans is, Sir Alex Ferguson small time?
Absolutely not. Come on.
Because, well, I'm not asking you, mate. It's a rhetorical question. But the truth is that Ronaldo asked to leave publicly. Rooney asked to leave publicly. Cantona tried to retire. Mm-hmm. Fergie went and found him on a moped in France. Scholesy refused to play for the reserves. I can carry on going. Keno was flirting with all kinds of clubs because he wanted a higher wage.
A few times.
Rio Ferdinand too. I'm not digging those players out. Those players, performance-wise, always backed it up. The truth is that Fergie said, look, some people, I will push you out the door. But some people, you don't get to dictate it. You've got a contract and I'll be the judge of this. I mean, he did say, look, when Rooney came out, and then look, you know me, mate, after Rooney's public transfer request on the day of a Champions League tie at Old Trafford, that I travelled up to. So I found out when I got to the game that Rooney had slagged off the team and said we weren't progressing like we should be, and basically said he was better than the rest of the people in the squad. Mm-hmm. Fergie came out with an amazing press conference, one of his best. I'd say he was so calm. He dominated the press that day. But he did say, look, Rooney's a fantastic player. I'm going to leave the door open for him. The contract's still on the table. Now that's Sir Alex Ferguson. So if United fans are going around saying, look, we have to let Pogba go, well, for how much? Because what if Madrid say, look, we're paying 100 million maximum and we're not going above that? Then to me, we say, Pogba, you're not going.
But then you've got to ask yourself, which Paul Pogba are we going to be keeping? Yeah. Is it the one from November? Is it the one from January? Or is it the one from April? 3 different players.
It really is, mate. It really is. But like I say, we've got to name our price and we've got to stick to the price. And we've got to say, look, you've got to match that price. If you want to include Bale, if you want to include any other players, we can do that on the back end. All right? We will receive the full amount and then we'll buy your players at the correct value.
Are you the one doing the negotiations there? Still begging us for Gareth Bale?
No,
just give me Bale, you can have him.
No, the opposite. No, the opposite. Sorry, buddy. Let me clarify that. What I'm saying is that if you want Paul Pogba, you pay 150 million minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to loan us Bale, then we'll pay the correct amount for Bale.
I see.
But I'm not up for this kind of package deal where we get blooming shafted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But mate, look, Paul Pogba, he's been a bloody nightmare. Let's not mess around here. He's been an absolute nightmare. He's the star man who you think you have. Who disappears all the time. I personally don't think he is a star man. I think he's a cherry on top. I think Paul Pogba really needs to be in a team that is winning trophies all the time, that's doing the business all the time, and he can provide some magic moments. And he will. He will provide some magic moments. He scored in the World Cup final with his left foot, banged it in, fantastic. But he's not a leader. He's not a man to lead us back to the top. He's just not. He's proved it.
Well, yeah, he maybe is a leader, but not the leader, right? He can't just be the only one. He can't be the one that everyone turns to and gains inspiration from his performances, because he's the first one to go missing when the going gets tough, you know?
He is, mate. He is, absolutely. And obviously we've lost Herrera already. So we're looking at Pogba gone, Herrera gone, definitely. So obviously, look, we've talked about a number of names. Bruno Fernandes, top of the list. He's becoming essential. If Paul Pogba's kicking up a right fuss, we get Bruno Fernandes in. It certainly strengthens our lot. Tielemans being mentioned again. What do you think of that, mate? I mean, that's one we may kind of sort of rebuild that midfield around.
Certainly a player with a lot of potential. Showed really good glimpses at Leicester last year.
Yeah.
It worries me if Brendan Rodgers isn't willing to spend a lot of money on him, then he might not have the character needed, you know?
Are you sure? You're also a fan of his teammate, Ndidi, right?
Yeah, I am. 22 years old. Like Tielemans, 22 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably cost around the same 40, 45. Just had the most interceptions and tackles in the whole of the Premier League last year. So
yeah, mate, and you know, look, let's think about it. If you've got a midfield of sort of Fernandes, Tielemans, Partey kind of thing, then I mean that is, you've got to say that's an upgrade on Matic, one other, and Pogba.
Yeah, you'd probably say so.
I think so. Obviously, Ndombele is still a massive name linked with us. Giovanni Lo Celso is another one. Now, I know you scouted him the other day for Argentina and weren't very impressed, mate, were you?
I don't see what all the fuss was about, to be honest. He just seemed another player and not a player that really stood out.
And we've got Thomas Partey. The noise is there. Obviously, have been piping up, piping down. Another one who would be part of a first team three.
You'd probably think so, right?
I
was reading today that Ndombele is available to go to Spurs for £63 million. And I wonder how much the Manchester United premium would be added on top of that.
Yeah. So with those prices, you're looking at Ndombele and Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes for the price of Pogba, right?
Yeah.
Would you take that?
I think I would now, because I know that even if we keep him against Israel, it's not going to be like Ronaldo in 2009, who still scored 40 plus goals. He's just going to sulk. And
this is my worry, mate. Look, last season he sulked all season. So this season...
Well, he had maybe 2 months in the middle that he turned it on and got, 12 goals, 9 assists, showed us all what he can do. And then as soon as Zidane got hired and a few quotes came out from Zidane saying how much he'd like to play with Paul Pogba, then everything else went out the window again, mate.
Yeah, it did. It did indeed, mate. Now, obviously, that's the midfield. But if Paul Pogba does go out the exit door, I can't see Ed Woodward not bringing in a big name, sort of a marquee name, to replace Pogba. And the likelihood is it will be in one of the forward positions. We've obviously mentioned Bale already on loan. Let's not go down that route again. João Felix of Benfica, obviously tearing up trees. You've got a feeling he's off to City, right?
I do. I think he's going to be going to them and loan back for the year.
Yeah.
I think they probably got the only squad that could afford to do that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting.
And that is, can I just cut in there?
Yeah,
that is one thing Benfica were suggesting. They were saying that's the only way we're going to keep him next year, realistically. He had, what did he have? I think he had a 50 or 60 million release clause. And after a couple of games, they were like, right, let's make this 120.
Yeah,
because it was just like, this is a little gem here. He didn't actually start. He completely won 90 minutes before Christmas, but he didn't really start for Benfica until January. Their manager got sacked, new one came in, and he just tore it up from then and led them on a massive run. to the title.
Yeah, the Portuguese league can be a bit deceiving, right?
Yes, definitely.
It's the same league that Renato Sanchez stood out as an unbelievable youngster and got my tongue wagging for years.
You did, yeah. Dear me, you were head over heels, weren't you?
I was begging us.
You were.
Begging us.
And you had me blooming betting on Victor Lindelof to score the first goal for the first few months of last season because he'd banged him in for Benfica as well. Dear me, I don't know how much I'm down on that. But, João Felix, he's brilliant. We might have to look at different positions to sort of find a new superstar. Interesting rumour today, mate. Don't know how much credence you give it, but the paper's linking us to Neymar Jr. now.
Yeah, as soon as we get rid of Paul Pogba, and it's going to come Neymar, and the circus continues, mate.
Yes, mate. But then again, the superstars of the modern era, maybe we have to sort of meet them in the middle as well. I'm obviously not putting up with Pogba's attitude. Look, Neymar's antics at times leave a lot to be desired, but he's a fantastic player, isn't he? I can't see it happening. I think it's an absolute load of nonsense.
No, let's move on.
But it did pop up today. Yeah. It did pop up today.
Also popped up today that Barcelona CEO came out and said that there is no deal in place for Griezmann.
Yes.
And that everyone's just blowing smoke up everyone's bums.
Yeah, and really there's no need for him to say that. That's not a bargaining tactic. He's got a release clause. Mm-hmm. So normally I'd say, look, this is a bargaining tactic. He's throwing it out there. There's a release clause in Griezmann's contract. So that's very telling indeed. This one, you know what? Griezmann is one that I do think is possible. I really do.
Do you think getting rid of Pogba maybe damages those chances?
I don't know, mate. I think maybe we play into this too much. These sort of friendships in football. I've got friends who support all different clubs. I couldn't care less who they play for. If I was a footballer, I'm playing for United. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
So, of course, we thought Lukaku and Pogba were best pals, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then when one of them was kicking up a fuss, we'd be like, oh, God, is the other one? But then they seemed to have a little breakup, didn't they?
Yeah.
They weren't sitting next to each other anymore. God, it's pathetic. So we were reading into that saying, oh, God, maybe Lukaku doesn't like Jose anymore. And really, we're guessing from the outside because Lukaku was the first one who said he wanted to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely right with that. You're absolutely right.
So, yeah. Listen, mate, I'll ask you directly. Can Paul Pogba stay at Manchester United now?
Yes, he can, but it's a really difficult yes to say. It really takes a lot of effort for me to say yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. 1 minute you think he can, and the next 10 minutes you think he can't. So it's a really tough one. What do you think?
Honestly, pal, when I heard the news, I obviously looked for the video because I know that quotes can be manipulated. I saw the video. It was kind of like a diluted version of how I felt when Jose Mourinho got sacked. It was brilliant. Now we can move on. That is honestly how I felt. When Mourinho got sacked, I was like, oh, God, thank God for that. Mm-hmm. Look, I backed him for a long, long time, but it got messy. He had to go. And I felt, look, now we can move on. And I didn't expect it. I didn't expect myself to react to Pogba saying this in this way. But it was relief, mate. It wasn't anger. I've seen it before. He's done us over in the past. I remember exactly clearly how he left the first time. And I thought, you know what? Let's rebuild this club with the money.
Yeah, it is a shame, though. Both of our world-class players won out, and we needed to add to this squad, not start replacing our best players as well.
Is that Pogba and De Gea?
It is, yeah.
I mean, they certainly weren't world-class last season.
No, that's very true, and you're only as good as your current form.
Look, I hope De Gea, I hope we're wrong. He's been with us through the bad times. He was with us with Fergie. I hope he's here for the good times too. But I'm an old romantic. But at the same time, if he does want to go, then I do agree he should go. But yeah, he certainly wasn't world-class at the end of last season, and Pogba certainly wasn't world-class for the majority of last season either. So it's a hard one, buddy. Mm-hmm. It's a really hard one. With Pogba, it's quite clear in my head as to what we should do. With De Gea, not so much.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is one of David De Gea's understudies, academy graduate Dean Henderson, has come out with some comments that I can get on board with. Exactly the kind of stuff I want to hear coming out of one of our players' mouths. I'd give my right leg to play for Manchester United, he said. I'm good enough to be a Premier League goalkeeper. I deserve that chance. It's a tough one to say where, but I do think I should be playing at Manchester United now. Yes, I do. If not there, I'm sure I could go back to Sheffield United, play a season, and then I'll prove to Manchester United what they are missing. I would give my right leg to play for that football club. That has been my dream since I was a little boy, being a fan. I just know I'm working hard in the background and waiting for any little opportunity that comes up. If it does, I will take it for the next 10 to 15 years. Now, that's the kind of thing I can get on board with. coming out of a Manchester United player's voice. That's what I want. That's the spirit I want in that dressing room.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. And I'll be honest, I would probably take a goalkeeper with one leg after how De Gea was playing with the last couple of months. He seemed like he was playing with one arm.
Yeah, it's not the best idea to give your right leg in order to play goalkeeper for Manchester United.
Is he left or right footed
Oh,
though?
God. And Dave's distribution is not the best, so God. But mate, those are the kind of comments I want to hear. That's brilliant stuff, isn't it?
No, and you're right. The kind of stuff that we want people to be saying amongst themselves in the dressing room, right? Like you got McTominay in there who sort of echoes those sentiments.
Yeah.
And exactly the kind of stuff that we need these players who come in and haven't been supporting United since they were kids to be feeling as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to be in that dressing room to tell some people a few home truths anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And if I've got a character in there who I believe is doing that, then I'm well on board. Good on you, Dean Henderson. Hopefully we'll have you on the podcast for a good old interview. You sound like a top bloke and a top red.
For sure.
So De Gea's future is obviously in the air. I'll be honest with you, Pat, I'd much rather go for Dean Henderson than get someone like Lloris in, who I think is a total waste of space.
Yeah, get rid of that.
If Jan Oblak was available from Atletico, then I could get on board with that. I'd see that as a good replacement for Dave. I can see the positivity in that. But you know what? It's great that a keeper's popped up from nowhere, and another option's there alongside, as you know, Joel Pereira, and we got Sergio Romero in there. So it's not as bad as it might seem. With Dave seemingly flirting with the exit door.
No, I think what we were saying last week as well is pretty true, that with him falling down the pecking order in the Spanish national team, PSG deciding not to renew Buffon's contract and still haven't probably made contact with United about De Gea, might be having him question everything. And let's be honest, mate, is he worth being the most expensive goalkeeper in the entire world with his current form? I don't think so.
Yeah, but are we going to sell him for top whack now or not? That's what I'm, because obviously his contract's up at a year. He's been shocking for the end of the season. Let's make no bones about it. What would we sell him for?
Well, he's also best friends with Ander Herrera, right? Mm-hmm. Who's just run down his contract, going to go to PSG for free, get double the wages that he was looking at anyway. I mean, what a better person to start telling De Gea what to do than someone who's just done it. And I don't want to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? The same as Lukaku, the same as Pogba. If you want to go, you can go.
Yeah.
As long as the other team pays the money we want, then you can go. If the other team does not pay the money we want, then you can stay. Look, it doesn't matter who you are. You're not bigger than the club. No one is. And if De Gea wants to play silly buggers, he knows how low we've been. He's been here through the highs. So he knows what Manchester United is as a club. If he doesn't want to stay and be part of it, no worries, Dave. On your way.
Yeah, it's hard to say that.
It is hard to say it, mate, but I think we've reached the point now where we've had too many silly seasons. We've given too many people chances because we thought they were like our old squads. We give our players, in general, we give them a few chances because in history we've had really great players. We have players who play for the badge. We have players who really the heart is on the field. And so we've got into that habit as United fans. But this team, this current team, I think has worn it down and out of most United fans. Because when you look around the team, they're not very lovable at the moment. That's the truth.
Definitely not. Back when Abramovich took charge of Chelsea and they started just signing everybody left, right and centre, when Man City got taken over as well and they started buying all these players in, you just look at these players and you think, oh, they're a bunch of mercenaries.
Yeah.
And now you sort of half think the same with our players.
I know, pal. And the sad thing is you look across at the City team and you can't deny that they've got more passion for the club than ours do.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but it's true, pal. But look, the Pogba mess continues. United have said he's not for sale. That's the official line. And it's correct official line as well. You can't say, yeah, he is for sale, because then Madrid will come over and offer 70 million quid. But the correct official line is he's not for sale. But I suggest that is not really the official line. I suggest that Ollie will sanction the move.
Doesn't matter, mate. Juventus said he wasn't for sale either, and he still forced his way out. Doesn't matter these days.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, mate, if you know how high we hold Fergie and what regard we hold Fergie in. And he was against the Pogba re-signing, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And if you asked him now what we should do, if Ollie goes to him and says, oh, God, what shall I do? Pogba, he's kicking up a stink. What shall I do? Fergie will say, get rid of him.
Aye.
That's the truth.
Aye.
Mate, moving on, let's have a look just at the other transfer rumours in the week. Obviously, this show is dominated heavily by Paul Pogba. It's massive news in the United world this weekend. It's what we've expected. We knew it was coming, pal. We knew he wanted out, but he's finally grown the cojones to actually say it himself. So We will see from here, mate. New offer for Wan-Bissaka this week.
Yeah.
From Crystal Palace, yeah?
Yeah, I read today.
You confident we'll get that one over the line?
I think so. I think after a few days, they realised that £50 million is actually a massive bid for a 21-year-old fullback, and they should do it because it'd be pretty massive money for Crystal Palace, and they'd be able to really change their team on the back of one player and one good season.
Isn't it bananas though, mate? These days, where it literally is one good season. João Felix, I'm getting all excited over. He's had half a season.
Mm-hmm.
These days you go out and buy people after they've had one or two good seasons. Look, we've done it ourselves. We've gone out and bought people after they've had one or two good seasons somewhere, and they obviously haven't been the player we thought they were. Memphis Depay springs to mind, but yeah, it is mental, isn't it? The way nowadays someone's on form for a few months and suddenly it's 50 million.
It's mad, isn't it? But then you can also go out and buy a player who's had 8 good seasons, like Alexis Sanchez, and he just completely goes out the window.
Yes. It's a job from West Ham. Apparently we've offered 45 mil plus a player. You believe the player's Marcus Rojo, correct?
I think so. Makes sense with Pellegrini still being their coach.
Exactly. Again, sort of 45 plus a player, that's a lot of wedge.
It is. And apparently PSG and Barcelona are sniffing around as well.
Yeah.
That completely depends on where Matthias de Ligt ends up going.
That's true.
But that's pretty good pedigree as well for those teams to be sniffing around as well.
It is, but then, those teams have got a bit more in that position anyway, so they could sort of bring him in and use him more effectively. We need a first-team centre-back, mate. That's what we need. And if we were bringing in an inexperienced guy from West Ham for 50 million quid effectively, the pressure that's going to be on his shoulders, he's not going to perform the same as he has at West Ham. And we're expecting him to slot in. Who knows, man? Are we going to get the same thing as Bailly, where we get a few good months and then it gets too much for him?
Yeah, we're expecting someone to come in and lead the defence as well, right? Not just someone to come in and slot in and join an already good defence. We need someone to come in and completely turn it around.
Liverpool messed around getting this guy in, that guy in, Dejan Lovren, all the rest of them. And then they finally got their blooming hang of it, went out there, spent £75 million on Virgil van Dijk. And we all know how that ended up. Mm-hmm. So in terms of the defence, mate, I agree. We go around picking up people for 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. That's great. But we've already done that. Yeah. We've already got Eric Bailly in. We've already got Victor Lindelof in. And neither of them are leading our defence. So why are we going to go again and buy another person in that market when we know what the result is?
Harry Maguire's £80 million.
Dear me.
45 doesn't seem so bad. I think we should pull the trigger and go all out and get Koulibaly.
Yeah.
I think he would be a defence-changing player,
yeah. Yeah. I would rather push the boat and get Koulibaly, Maguire, De Ligt, then add another one to the stable. I just don't see the difference Issa Diop's going to do. He'll come in, we'll say, we have to blood him gently, and before you know it, it'll be Phil Jones and Smalling again. It's true. It's true. And I'm not slagging those two off. I think they try their hardest when they play for United, which is something that I respect. Chris Smalling, when he played alongside Rio and Vidic, I thought was absolutely superb. But they're not a starting centre-back pair for a Premiership winning side, even a top 4 side, really. Let's be truthful.
No, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
It is interesting that Alderweireld still hasn't signed an extension, or there's no news about him whatsoever. Makes you think that a deal might already be in place.
Yeah, I mean, for 25 mil, I say let's go out and get a big signing and sign him too. It's not the time to mess around. It's not the time to say, let's take it slowly. We need to rebuild this team. We need to rebuild it now. We've got money. We're going to have more money from selling people. We're going to have more wages from getting people off the wage bill. Let's do it properly.
Yeah, for sure.
Some more news today. Philippe Coutinho said he doesn't want to come to Manchester United. That got pretty much next to no reaction out of me. I don't want you at United either. So, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well done.
It's the same sort of thing saying Maradona saying he should be the next coach. Well, brilliant. See you later, mate.
Yeah. Because they were talking when they were saying, certain papers were saying that Rakitic and Coutinho could be in to replace Pogba. I wouldn't be so against the Rakitic signing. I know you're not so keen. If we got some of these young bucks in midfield, I wouldn't mind having him in there, Rakitic in there as a bit of experience too, and to give us some different options so we can play a different shape in there as well. What do you reckon, pal?
Yeah, that's a really good call. Also add a bit of nous in there, right?
Yeah.
Knows how to win games. can lead players by example. He's always given everything he's got on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. To be honest with you, mate, the midfield is at the moment is a minefield, isn't it? We don't know who is going to be here, who is going to be gone. There's so many question marks. Herrera's already gone, but Paul Pogba certainly continues to boggle the minds of United fans everywhere. We'll be fine without you, Paul. Don't you think any different? Now, a quick thanks to all our supporters of the podcast. The numbers have been going up and up, and we're very happy you're all enjoying it so much. The response has been magnificent. Thank you so much, guys. Let's keep growing together. Make sure you're subscribed on iTunes, Spotify, on your favourite podcast app. We'd be very grateful if you could 5-star rate us, comment, and also let your fellow Reds know all about the 100% United pod. Follow on Instagram at United100 Podcast and DM us if you want to get in touch or ask us any questions. We may even answer it on the pod. You never know. Thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Cheerio, Reds.
Ta-ra.